Hello, welcome. My name is Dr. George Mochocki, and this is a series we're doing in Principles of Marketing. Today we're going to be discussing the role of advertising and public relations within the integrated marketing scheme of things. So first of all, let's define the role of advertising. And what we'll be doing here is going to be a course objectives. So if I'm looking at the course objective, a lot of times people know the definitions and the concept, but they don't know how to use the critical thinking, how it would be conceptually all tied in to meet a certain goal. Why do we do certain things this way? So one of the course objectives define the role of advertising in a promotional mix. The other one describe the role of decisions involved in developing the advertising. How do I come up to which advertising ad or campaign or message I want to present? And then the third is define the role of public relations in a promotional mix. Where public relations is monitored, even though it's I don't control the message completely, but I could position myself where the message and the story comes out to hopefully be more favorable to my brand and to my product or service I'm trying to promote. Okay, and then lastly, explain how public relations to communicate with the public. What are the tools that public relations use to communicate the message from the corporate or the company's or brand side perspective? So we're going to come in here, and I'm going to try to keep this under 20 minutes. I'll go quickly. Okay, so first of all, let's define advertising. Advertising is non-paid communication about goods, services by identified sponsor or corporation or someone who's trying to sell their product. All right, describe the major decisions involved in developing advertising. Now, this is a course that comes out of there, but it's a possible course objective. These are all course objectives. You got to set up advertising objectives. Where do you want to go to? You got to look at developing advertising strategy, how you're going to get there, and evaluate how effective your objectives and your strategies are, and then other considerations. So let's look at advertising, setting course objective. So you have to have advertising objective is communication to accomplish what they want to do in a certain amount of time. Then you have comparative advertising. You compare the recent advertising. Sometimes you compare your product against your competitors. Usually we tell you not to do that, but a lot of times people kind of like that. Hey, why is my product better? And if you look at this, I think Wendy's basically says our food is never frozen, and that's how they position. So they say we're fresher. We may be refrigerated, but we've never been frozen and made up. And then you have persuasive advertising. Remember, you're trying to set up what is your objective. Do you want a persuasive advertising? What is your main objective of that? Is it to increase competition? Important with the increase of competition to build a selective demand for your product. So you're persuading customers to come to your product by your advertising campaign. Informative. Sometimes it's a brand new product. What you're doing is just introducing a new product and telling them about the benefits and the value, or why your product is better than a competitor, or whatever your message is. Remember, integrated marketing is you have a message every time. Your message campaign changes depending on the need of the company, depending on what objectives you're trying to achieve. And then reminder advertising. Hey, remember, we've been around here for 50 years. Come and see me. Sometimes you see a lot of reminders now because it's either it's in the summer, you have more reminders about air conditioning to make sure your air conditioning is tuned, or if you're in the fall and winter, more reminders about the heating. Everything. It's just a different type of message, but it's to a certain target audience. Okay, and then developing advertising strategy. Okay, so now I'm looking at how I'm going to develop this strategy. I have to look at my what is my strategy? Is it awareness? Is it creating a message? What media am I going to go to? And then merging advertising and entertainment. So what are my brand integrations, known as brand entertainment? Involve brand and acceptable of some form of entertainment or content. Okay, and native advertising, advertise other brands. Twitter promotes tweets, Facebook promotes stories, BuzzFeed promotes polls. So if I'm looking at this, All this, when you look at advertising, it's not just one ad. What are advertising? Different modes, different things, different customers. Who do I want to do? Different ways I want customers. Because remember, a lot of the target market I'm trying to target, they have all these different stimuli. They're using media, electronic media, very little face to. I mean, if I look at it, magazines, everything. That could be some type of a media too if you're in the office. So you have to know where to place the ads and how you're going to get these individuals to basically come to your business. The whole thing about advertising is how do I get them to come to my, and what's your message? What's your strategy? You're going to have your message. And that's the general, and that's the T, I'm live here, so I'm going to put the T in there. The general message that will communicate to customers. It has to be consistent through the advertising, through the promotion, through your campaign, through your ad, through your personal selling. All those messages, they have to be the same messages, so that when the customer's getting it, or the end user gets those messages coming in from different ways, to begin to say, I never thought about that. It reminds them, okay? Now you have a creative concept, meaningful, believable. So, you're to be creative nowadays, they're just making this up. I want to see myself in there. I want to believe that what you're saying is truthful before I try it, okay? And message execution is different styles, slice of life, mood, image, technical expertise, testimonial, tone, positive. There's so much information. Remember, I'm just touching the tip of the iceberg. Sometimes you think, oh my God, I never thought about all this about advertising. The different tone, the message, the color, the individuals, how you present it, how, what's the background, what's the atmosphere, what's the music. All this is tied into my advertising campaign. All right, and selecting the advertising media. You have to look at the frequency and impact of engagement, and then among which media types you want to use. Okay, you select a different media vehicle. Is it going to be what's going to be the impact, the effective, and the bottom line, how much is it going to cost me? Look, if I'm going to spend, just real quickly, $100 on some kind of promotion, let's say $1,000. And then I want to get two response, because I'm tracking it. How did I heard my ad or everything else? And out of the two, out of 1,000 I spent, they spent $500 each. So I broke even on that. So that means I just got to tweak a little bit more. But if I spend $1,000, nobody came in, I'm going to find a different media to utilize, because it's not effective. It's cost me something, but I'm not getting anything back in return. Okay? And then choosing the timing. Again, with the frequencies, when do I do the timing? Right now, peeps, if I'm looking at it for Thanksgiving, or, that's basically what it is, and Christmas, the gingerbread house. So now they got gingerbread peeps, and I'm a peep lover. So now it reminded me, well, I haven't had a peep. I had the they used to be just for Easter with the little chickens and bunny rabbit. Now all of a sudden they're everywhere. They change it for Christmas trees, and they're making money. They just change the design. It's the same ingredient, just change the shape and change the message to it. Make the color a little different. Okay, evaluating, and then again, you have to evaluate the return on the investment, communication efforts. Does the message come across the way I want it, or did something happen? Remember when you look at later on, there's the graphs in there to look at the sender, the receiver, the noise. All that is the same thing with the advertising. It's a one way, but people are listening, and how do I try to minimize the noise? How do I make sure the message comes out? What do I emphasize on? And it depends on which media I'm utilizing to get that message out. Other advertising, and bottom line, sales and profits, all about the money. Agency, do I do it in-house or do I contract out? And then international is basically, like Visa, kind of hard. If you do international advertising, you could do it by one country, or you could do it by one region. If I look at people who are Hispanic, and I'm looking at Mexican, Brazilian, people, when I say Hispanic, you're speaking Spanish, even though there's a twist in the language, I could kind of get away with some kind of standardization to go international in that demographic. demographic. But then if I'm going to the Asian market, it's completely different in India than it is in China, than it is in Japan. It's in that hemisphere. So I might have to adjust it. But China's a big country, so I could adjust it a little bit easier in Japan, even though it's smaller, but they have more income, more disposable income. So my advertising, I may get more for my money back. Remember, the whole thing is I spend so much, how much return? And it's not just how many people come to my ad. Those are people, potential buyers. It's the ones that actually buy my product I'm looking at. That's what offsets my costs. Okay. Let's see, we're almost done here. That's a big one on here. Okay, now define the role of public relations. Now, if I'm looking at public relations, and I'll use a definition that is a standard definition out there, involves building good relations accompanying various public by obtaining favorable publicity, building good rapport, image, handling, and heading off unfavorable rumors, stories, or events. So you're always in there monitoring what people are saying about my organization, about my brand, my product, and if I have to I do some injection. Sometimes I may have to use influencers. Sometimes I have other people saying, or sometimes just, hey, we messed up, I am sorry, and here's be a coupon, we're going to reduce it by $1 for next month just to make up for the error that we did, or for confusion. All that's just PR. It still comes out of my advertising or my promotional mix, but it's a message that I send out there. Okay? And then press release and agencies, you know, that the story has some credence, that it's credible. There are public relations that it doesn't sound like it's a machine, it's corporate, it's more personalized. You know, publicity, I'm looking at involving publicizing, and I'm looking at different relations, I'm looking at lobbying. Okay. We have to look at the press releases, the press agencies, involves a credible place and use information where it that will attract the attention to the people or product or service we're trying to target. You know, product publicity involves publicizing specific product, public affairs, building, maintaining national, local relations. Usually a person to follow, you always call it, I want to talk to the PR office or public relations, if you want for kids, or sometimes some giveaway. They're there kind of to smooth things over between the company and the individual by putting a face onto it, okay? And then I got investor relationship, maintains relationship with development, and then I have development involves public relations with donors or members for nonprofit organization. And then this one here is to reduce the cost of advertising, explain how companies use PR to communicate with their public, okay? Lastly, we're going to talk about, explain how companies use PR to communicate to the public. And if I look at this one here, major public relation tool, they use speeches, special events, written materials, company identity materials with their name, the logos on there, public service, buzz marketing, social networking, everything we talked about. So when you look at public relation and advertising, they're hand in hand together, and you need both of them. It's just one part of the whole integrated marketing concept. See the next lesson. We'll be talking about promotions and let's see, next promotion and promotions and personal selling on the next one. Okay. All right. So again, my name is Dr. George Mochocki. Thank you for listening to this, and we should be okay. Bye.